Hey, how are you guys? Yeah, we doing all right? Since we were last in here together, I grew hair, so don't panic. This is real. This is mine. This is my hair. This is real hair. So this is new. I've never preached to an audience wearing masks. Never done it. Brand new. Here we go. And you have never listened to a guy preaching while wearing a mask. Brand new. So this is new. How are we doing? We hanging in, all right? Like if you're going to pass out, just give a quick breath in and then you're back. Just no one pass out. This is brand new. And yet, listen, we're finding our way forward. As a church, we're not going backwards. No, we're actually advancing. There is a way forward. Everyone watching online right now, I'm thrilled you're with us. Everyone here in the room is amazing. A couple hundred of you are in the room. Last hour, a couple hundred people. Like God is at work. He is doing something. Even in the midst of this, even in the midst of things that we would not have chosen, right? God is at work. So today, here's what I want to talk to you about. I want to talk to you about the one thing you cannot move forward without. I want to talk to you about the one thing you cannot move forward without. It's not a nice to have, it's a must have. It's a must have. It's kind of like coffee in the morning. Can I get a witness? Yeah? So here's the deal. When I need this to be interactive, so you got to be twice as loud through the mess, so I know that you're with me, all right? So it's like coffee in the morning. Can I get a witness? Yes, that's right. Okay. All right, that's called a must-have. It's like an iPhone if you're a high school student. They call it a must-have, right? That's like, for me, celery salt on a Chicago hot dog. Anybody? If you don't know what I'm talking about, you need a different church, right? Like there's one way to have a Chicago hot dog, and it has to include celery salt. It's like Kenny Chesney music at the beach. Can I get a witness? Oh, that is not a nice to have, friends. No, that is a must have. I want to talk to you about the one thing you cannot move forward without. And that one thing is this. It's called perseverance. It's called perseverance. Have you noticed nothing right now is downhill? Everything is uphill with a headwind. I want to talk to you about the one thing, no matter who you are, no matter what age you might be, no matter what kind of things that you're feeling and facing, it is the one thing you cannot move forward without. It is perseverance. It's not a nice to have, no, it's a must have. It was a must have for men like Abraham Lincoln. Failed 8 different elections, had a nervous breakdown, he didn't stop. He persevered, he's on the $5 bill. Nelson Mandela, talk about a hero, talk about an incredible leader. Hudson Taylor, one of the heroes of my faith. How about Thomas Edison? Every time you guys flip on the lights, you need to thank Tom for that. 2,000 experiments to get the light bulb to work. Did you know this? A young reporter interviewed Thomas and said, hey, what was it like to fail 2,000 times? He's like, I never failed. It was just a 2,000-step process. What's that called? You know what that's called? It's called perseverance. It's like some of the women that changed the world. Harriet Beecher Stowe, they had it. They possessed perseverance. Mother Teresa. A woman by the name of Fanny Crosby. How about that name? Fanny Crosby. Maybe you have never heard of her, but you need to know who she is. A prolific hymn writer. Her songs, the church has been singing for a really, really long time. Fanny Crosby wrote 8,000 hymns, and she was blind. What's that called? That's called perseverance. I think about Carrie Strug. And if you guys remember the 96 Olympics, this is kind of dating ourselves. I realize this. Show of hands. This is interactive. All right. If you're online, I can't see your hand, but I'm imagining you're raising it. I was a little guy, and we were gathered around the TV. I was just starting high school, I believe, and there she was. Right. You guys remember busted leg? I think it was like broken in half. And she still did the thing. She went off of is it called the pommel horse? Yeah, pommel horse. Thank you, Blake. And she did some flips around, and then she stuck the landing. Do you guys remember this? Come on, don't leave me up here, right? It was amazing. Like the place went crazy. It was amazing. We got the gold medal. What's that called? That's called perseverance. And by the way, right now, the one thing you cannot move forward without is perseverance. Webster defines it this way: continued effort to do or achieve something despite difficulties, failure, or opposition. Here's what we're doing right now as a church. We're studying the life story of Moses. Of all the life stories we could study, why would we study his? Well, he knew what opposition was like. He knew what failure felt like. He knew what it felt like to feel lost in the middle of a wilderness of uncertainty. That's why we're studying his life. We're lifting from his life 5 principles. We've already looked at 2. Today we're looking at the 3rd. Here it is. Write this down. The way forward is down with perseverance. This is the 3rd principle we're going to lift from his life and apply it to ours. The way forward is down with perseverance. Say that with me. Come on. The way forward is down with perseverance. Down. Why are we using that word? Here's why. Down because perseverance is rootedness. Down because perseverance is staying power. It's old-fashioned grit. That's why it's down. Perseverance is long obedience in the same direction. Perseverance shows up when everyone else stays home. Perseverance, it's kind of like the Energizer Bunny. Do you guys remember this commercial? We loved it when it first started, but we grew to hate it because it just kept going. And say it with me, and going. And going, right? Well, Moses, he was kind of like that. He was the persevering prophet. He kept going and going and going and going. When 2 million people that he was leading wanted to go back home to slavery, Moses kept showing up. He held his ground. He was rooted. His roots were not shallow. No, they ran deep. This is the one thing we cannot move forward without. We got to have it. We got to have it. We got to have it. It's not a nice to have. It is a must-have. The way forward is down with perseverance. Hebrews 11:27. If you have time this week, read the book of Hebrews. If you need to be inspired, it's the hall of fame of faith. I mean, it's people, real people, made of flesh and blood, just like you and me. And it says this, he made it into the hall of fame of faith. Hebrews 11:27. Moses, what? Say it with me. Moses, you can do better. Come on. Moses. Why? Because he saw him who is invisible. Moses persevered. If he was known for anything, this is what he was known for. Moses didn't quit. Moses didn't allow his past to imprison his future. He didn't turn back. He persevered. This is the one thing. And this one thing, you cannot move forward without perseverance. Requires for us to understand two things about it. This one thing is requiring us to understand two things about it. Number one, how is it formed? And secondly, how is it fueled? That's what we're going to look at. How is perseverance formed and how is it fueled? How is it formed? We look at some of the heroes of history and the heroes of our faith and we see their perseverance and we want to possess it. Well, how did they get it? How is it formed? Here's the first thing. Perseverance is formed through your pain. And you were loving this talk until that moment, right? Perseverance is formed through a lot of things. But one of the greatest things that forms your perseverance, it's your pain. Show of hands, online in here, how many of you love pain? Yeah, all the normal people, your hands are down, right? No one's like I'm just into it, I dig it. I had the shingles, it was the best moment of my life. No one ever said that. How many of you for Christmas, you're like, I just want that root canal. Like, please, like that's the only thing I want on my list. Is that like, no one is into pain, right? Like no one just loves it. No one is like, I just want pain. And here's the thing, you don't have to go looking for pain. Have you noticed this? It doesn't matter your age, but as long as you have a beating heart, as long as you have a pulse, pain will find you. Why? You're a human being living in a fallen world. And yet oftentimes when we're in the middle of pain, whether it be a situation like we're in now or any other kind of situation of pain, we oftentimes see it only from the perspective of the enemy, who is Satan, who wants to absolutely destroy your life. And what he's going to do is try to get you to side with his perspective. And what his perspective is seeing only what pain is taking from you. Yet, there's a different perspective, a biblical perspective. And that's when we see what pain is actually giving to us. That God is going to work out all things for the good of those who love him, who are called according to his purpose. There is a biblical perspective of pain. And by the way, right now, more than any other time, we need a theology of pain. We need a theology of suffering. This generation, most of which doesn't have one. This is why we can feel more lost than ever when we're in the middle of suffering and setbacks. You got to understand, like actually pain can help you in this way. It can actually form your perseverance. Julius Caesar once said this, it is easier to find men who will volunteer to die than to find those who are willing to endure pain with patience, right? When we're in the middle of pain, we're just like, God, just kill me. That's it. Just take me right now. I want to die. And yet there is actually a gift in it. If you're taking notes, write this down. There is purpose in your pain. There's purpose in your pain. There's purpose in your pain. Someone came to church right now. Someone logged on to hear that one statement. There's purpose in your pain. I don't need to ask you, are you in pain? We're all in pain in all kinds of different ways. It could be a career kind of pain. It could be an injustice kind of pain. It could be a high school athletic kind of pain. You've been waiting for your fall season, and I get it. I was a football guy, right? And you can act older because you got a mortgage like you don't understand pain. Dude, that's pain. To think they're actually going to play in the spring. Maybe they will. I hope they do. But there is pain every direction you look. My kids are going to school while wearing a mask. They wouldn't choose that. Like every direction you look, there is pain. My question is, are you viewing pain from this direction? Saying there's purpose in the pain. It's actually forming perseverance. In fact, those who possess the greatest amount of perseverance are the same people who have experienced the greatest amount of adversity. Like if we could have walked a day with Abraham Lincoln, you would not walk down Easy Street. It was a path less traveled. It was a hard path. Get around those people. They'll tell you, like their level of perseverance is not because of their successes, it's because of their scars. They've lived through things. This is what James 1 is all about. Let me read this to you. Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever, and right now, right? The fall of 2020 includes that. Whenever you face trials of many kinds. Why? Like, is James losing it here? Is he going off script? Is he not listening to God? What is going on here? Consider it pure joy. Whenever you face trials of many kinds. Why? Because you know that the testing of your faith produces what? Perseverance. Old-fashioned grit. Staying power. Long obedience in the same direction. This is what Paul writes about over and over again. He says this in 2 Corinthians 4:17. For our light and momentary troubles are achieving. They're doing something for you. They're at work. They're achieving for us an eternal glory that far outweighs them all. Perseverance is formed through your pain. There's purpose in your pain. Pain is transmitted into bitterness or transformed into perseverance. The choice is yours. Pain is transmitted into bitterness or transformed into perseverance. The choice is yours. Perhaps you were that bitter guy this summer. Every single conversation, you were a bitter guy, complaining about everything. Well, that was this summer. What if the fall's different? You don't have to be bitter guy this fall. You can be persevering guy this fall. What if you're persevering guy this fall? What if people are like, I don't know what got into Jim? He's like persevering guy. What got into it? I don't know. Maybe it was this message that you decided to actually apply. Be persevering guy. Who wants to be persevering guy? I want to be persevering guy and gal. What if we were known for that? What if we were known for the kind of people that step into conversations when everything is doom and gloom, when everything is bitter, when everything is terrible, and we just say, no. God's at work. God's got this. I don't know how this is going to happen. I don't know when it's going to happen. This is certainly not the story I would have drawn up, but God has not vacated the throne. He is at work. He is moving. He is working. What if we were that kind of person? There's purpose in your pain. There's purpose in your pain. What we're doing right now is something called Live at 8. How many of you guys have heard of Live at 8 before? A few of you have heard of it. Okay, good. Well, Live at 8, we started that in the spring. I thought it was going to be for a week, and that was God's joke on me. And so it was longer than a week. And so I went as long as I could before I just like internally blew up. And then I took some time off, and it was a good break. So season 2 just launched this past week. It's Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I know it's like I'm working part-time now. And you can watch it live, which is pretty cool because it's interactive with comments and stuff at wearemission.online. Those of you watching our service right now at wearemission.online, you can just, tomorrow morning, 8 a.m., I'll be there for you, all right? And I'm going to talk more about what I'm talking about today. They only give me like 25 minutes for these, so I go a little bit extra on Monday mornings. Well, Wednesday morning is something called Wellbeing Wednesday. And I have a Christian therapist named Brian Silver that is joining me for these 13 weeks every single Wednesday. Some of you have been wanting some like Christian counseling and therapy. Well, it's free every Wednesday at 8 a.m. Like if you are in pain, if you are struggling, you're like, I don't know how, like I'm going to get through this e-learning. There ain't going to be any learning, and I don't even know how this thing's going to happen, right? Some of you are there right now. Some of you are like, I don't know how I'm going to actually get through Monday, right? Well, we have something for you this Wednesday. Check it out. I think it'll be super helpful. My job, ultimately, is to equip you. If you're wondering, like, what's his job description? Well, the Bible answers that is to equip the saints. That's you guys, whether you think you are or not. If you're a follower of Jesus, you are. So that's my job, but you need to be let me equip you, all right? So that's one of the things we're doing. So you need more than a Sunday sermon. We need to hang out during the week. So that is Live at 8. Here's what we're talking about today. We're talking about the one thing. It's not a nice to have. It's a must have, right? It's a little bit of a throwback, and that's why I like it a lot. It's old-fashioned grit, staying power. It's roots that run deep, not shallow. It's called perseverance. It's not a nice to have, friends. It's a must have in moments like this. Well, how do we get it? Well, it's formed. It's formed through your pain, but it's fueled through something else. Perseverance is fueled by God's presence. It's fueled by God's presence. I've been looking forward to talking to you about this second point. It's fueled by God's presence. His presence is just sweet these days. It's good. It's my fuel. And Moses, pretty incredible, Exodus 33, verse 15. Check this out. This guy's amazing. God was saying go, and Moses said, he always was talking with God. They were really close. He could talk back to God. He said, hold on, God. He says this. If your presence, though, doesn't go with us, and sure, we don't want to go. That's the John Peacock version. If your presence does not go with us, do not send us up from here. How would you fill that blank in? For real. You're Moses leading 2 million people. Things are tough every single day. God's saying, hey, I need you to keep going. What would you put in that? If you're what? What would you say? Let's just keep it real. Some of us would be like, if your army, say that at least maybe should be on the list, right? How about food? I love to eat. If that manna, I mean, it's not my choice, but I like to be fed. What does Moses choose? Guys, this is a window into how the heroes of our faith thought about life with God. Say it with me, if your presence, this is the one thing, if your presence, why? Why of all the things? Well, he understood how his perseverance was fueled. It was by the presence of God. Hebrews 11:27, Moses persevered. Why? Well, because he saw him. He didn't just hear about him. Like once a month, he saw him. He saw him. He encountered Almighty God. Moses saw him. He experienced him. He savored the presence of God. Psalms 90, verse 14. Check this out. Man, you should memorize this because it's awesome and it's short. Check it out. It says, fill us each morning with your constant love. Fill us. Fill us. Say it with me. Fill us each morning with your constant love. David didn't write that psalm. Moses did. Fill us. What does he say? Quarterly? Monthly will do. What does he say? This isn't a trick question. Each morning, with your constant love, fill us each morning with your constant love. Why? We need perseverance. As I've been thinking about this and thinking how this works, perseverance, when it comes to fruit of the Spirit, this would be the closest thing to long suffering. Have you noticed that other fruit of the Spirit like joy and kindness? I don't know if you guys are into kindness anymore. Have you guys noticed how the fruit of the Spirit, like the good stuff God wants to do in and through your life, it like runs out? Have you guys noticed this? Have you noticed how perseverance or long suffering is not a renewable resource? You guys know what a renewable resource is? When you think of a renewable resource, you think of geothermal power. How many of you thought of geothermal power? It's weird. First thing you thought of, probably didn't think of. How about solar power? Some of you probably thought of solar power. In the fall with allergy season, snot, right? It's just like, I don't know. It just keeps coming. It's just unbelievable. It's like, so that's called like a renewable resource. It like doesn't stop. Have you noticed how joy, kindness, peace, long suffering isn't like that? Have you noticed how like you may have had it on Monday, but Tuesday was different? Have you noticed how you like actually need to keep showing up with God in his presence and saying like Moses, fill me. Even pastors, oh my goodness, probably more so because of everything going on. You got to understand something about like the fruit of the Spirit and perseverance. It's a non-renewable resource. Just means it's going to run out. And some of you have been like in the Word of God once a month or never. And you're just like, I don't understand why I'm just like, don't have the fuel for today. Well, it's actually really simple. It's really simple. You can actually learn the same principle from racing. Any of you into car racing? Show of hands. Okay, you're going to love this. We got two people into racing. It's not the most popular sport. I get it. Ford versus Ferrari. Anyone see that movie? That was awesome. Great movie. Anyway, where were we? Racing. Yeah, we're talking about racing. Indy 500 was this past week. I know you didn't go, but anyone watch it? I think like 4 people watched it this year. Ratings were a little down. So I actually got to go. Takuma Sato, he won it this year. He's really good. Second time in 3 years, I think. So I went to the Indy 500 like 15 years ago. A guy invited me to go, so I went. I'm a football, baseball guy. I don't know anything about racing, all right? I watched Days of Thunder as a kid. That was like pretty much all I knew. Robin is racing. Anyway, so keep going. So I went to the Indy 500. That one line was for someone. I know it was for someone. Cold trickle. So I went, and I went like 15 years ago, and I'm there at Indy 500. I don't know anything about racing. And I'm watching, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, these guys get in these really fast cars, and they drive in circles. It's super cool. And they drive really fast. And so you're there watching them drive really fast in circles. But I'm really sharp. I quickly figured out how you can finish, if not put yourself in a position to win. And I want to share that with you. It's really technical. You ready for it? So you got to really use your mind to catch this. Don't run out of fuel. All right, now, I got to say it again, because it's like super advanced. Like if you want to get to the finish line, if not put yourself in a position to win, don't run out of fuel. I know, it's deep. I worked like 20 hours on this message just for that. I know, it's deep. It's very technical. Don't run out of fuel. If you watch the Indy 500, you know what you see these guys keep doing? They make timely, strategic, anyone know what they're called? Pit stops. All right, you've seen it. Pit stops. Right? And you're there in the stands. You're like, what are you guys doing? Taking a break. Get back on the track. I didn't come here to watch you do a pit stop. Like, figure it out. Right? Toughen up. Like, keep going. No. Here's the thing. They know. It's the same thing you got to know about perseverance or kindness, all the same stuff. Just like them in the car, their fuel is a non-renewable resource. It actually runs out. Have you noticed this? It's the craziest thing. So you know what they do? They actually make timely, strategic pit stops. Why? They actually want to finish, if not put themselves in a position to win. Why are you overthinking Christianity? Why are you overthinking faith? Why are you saying, I don't know, I got to get like another commentary to figure this one out? No, you don't. All you need to do is take perseverance pit stops. All you need to do is keep pulling over to be in the presence of God on the daily, all the time. Be in his presence like Moses. He's like, this is the one thing. I'm not going unless you're with me, God. Right? I mean, and thank you, God, that he hasn't made this so like complex, because guys like me otherwise wouldn't know how to do life with God. Perseverance pit stop. I know you've never heard of that phrase. I made it up this week. Perseverance pit stop. Man, I want you to finish. Like Paul, put yourself in a position to win. So what could this look like? Well, I got a couple ideas for you. Those of you in here, what if you were to take a perseverance pit stop every Sunday here at the building? Now, I know, this is crazy. Sounds like someone wants to win. Sounds like someone might want to finish. I know. You should probably think about it more. Like, what if you came here? Right? So here's the good news. You already did it today. You guys are crushing it. Right? You got momentum. Some of you watching online are like, I knew he was going to go there and it doesn't count. No, it counts. You're watching online. It all counts. One church, 3 venues. Like most of our churches are in watch parties this weekend. I love it. We're going to keep doing it. Tons of you are online. Here's the deal, though, online friends. Let me get in your face a little bit. Stop treating this like Netflix. This is not Netflix. And I'm not against Netflix. This is called a worship experience. And some of you are not followers of Jesus yet, so I'm not even talking to you. You get a hall pass. But if you are, stop treating it like Netflix. Barna, Bad News Barna, they do all the research that makes everyone depressed about the church. Recently came out with all the stats on this that American Christians' faith over the past 4 months has absolutely floundered. Why? It's all the stuff I'm talking about. So, what if the fall is different than the summer? So we got options. We will meet you wherever you are. And for you online, we're going to meet you right where you're at, online. What if you actually have a perseverance pit stop every single weekend, 9 a.m. or 10:30? And for you guys in here, just pick one, 9 or 10:30. When we need to start more of these, we'll start more of these, okay? I don't know. It's crazy, but maybe I want you to finish. So you need one on the weekend. But have you noticed that the week is 7 days, not one? So, crazy thought, what if you had a midweek? Oh, here he goes. What? Come on, Billy. Come on, baby. Man, it's good to see you. Dang. What if you had a midweek perseverance pit stop? All right, like I'm just telling you guys, your perseverance, just like kindness and joy, it's a non-renewable resource. And you never graduate your need for being in the presence of God and the people of God. You don't graduate from that, not until he comes back. So what if you actually get registered today for the growth track? If you're here at the building, which a lot of you are, on your way out today, we got the lobby outside up and running. Get registered today for the Alpha course. I'm doing it again, my 7th Alpha course. To which some of you are like, dude, like figure it out. Like, when are you going to graduate Alpha? I don't know, but I keep doing it, and I keep hosting it for neighbors and friends, and I plan to keep going. I'm telling you, every single time after Alpha, I leave refueled. Why? Well, it's not that difficult. I was in the presence of God and with some people. Turns out isolation doesn't work. So that's the Alpha course, but we also have 2 other courses. Why wouldn't you do that? If you've graduated from the growth track, be in a missional community and actually do it. Like be with one another, spurring one another on toward love and good deeds. Like the stakes are high. I don't know how, I want to get loud right now. Like, cause I just feel it, guys. The stakes are high. There's so much on the line. What if your faith soared even in an election year? Even in the middle of all this craziness? Because we were actually strategic and timely with perseverance pit stops. I think it'll work. I think we need to be really practical. I think we need to stop overthinking it. I think we actually need to be here on the weekend and midweek in the presence of God and with the people of God. I want to just finish by telling you a story that happened yesterday. I decided to get into cycling. Any of you guys cycle? Good call. It is, right? Because all the compression, and I'm 41 now. Used to be young like you cats. Good to see you guys. Glad you're here. But I'm 41 now. So I used to run a ton, but I'm 3 weeks into cycling. 3 weeks in. So do any of you guys bike out there? All right, 5 of us. So I went to Dick's Sporting Goods, and I got these cycling shorts. You guys ever put these on? Oh my gosh. I did not bring a picture because it would ruin your life. But I'm just telling you, guys, like, it feels like you have a load in your pants. Like you put these things on and babe, you haven't seen me. I don't let her see, like you have to walk like a duck because it has all this padding, for obvious reasons. And so I go out, so I start 3 weeks ago. I did an 8-miler 3 weeks ago. Hold your applause. And I did a 20-miler last weekend, and I was like, oh man, it felt like, new watermark level. And so yesterday I'm like, it's just how I am. I'm like, I want to see if I can get 30 in. I want to see if I can hit 30. And so I leave. I'm like, hey babe, I'm going to Elgin. She's like, what? I'm like, I'll be back in 2 hours. So I'm in the saddle, as they call it. Saddle, right, Billy? Saddle. I'm in the saddle for over 2 hours. And make it down to Elgin. Turn back. I'm coming back down the prairie path. And I hit like mile 21. So this is uncharted territory. And I'm hurting in every way. Like, it's rough. I'm like, am I going to have to call Kelly to come find me in Wayne or something? And when I was like, I didn't know if I could keep going, I hear, on your left. So I had been the guy saying on your left for the past hour and 45 minutes, but in that moment, I hear on your left, which means someone's come, and I'm going fast, like 50 miles an hour. 15, not 50. And these 2 young guys passed me, flying. And I was already going pretty good. Now, most normal people would be like, you know what? Great job, young guys. They're like 20. They don't even have a mortgage yet. Great job. But that's not how I'm wired up. I'm like, nope, not today, not on the prairie path. And so, I know. So I find this gear I did not know I had. I'm like straight Tour de France. It's like Tour de Page. Like I am flying down this thing and I catch up with these guys for reals. and I'm drafting behind them, and they're like, what is this guy doing? I'm like, I'm with you, boys. I'm with you. You have to yell. I'm with you. Letting them know that I still got it, right? And so why am I telling you this story? So I looked at my deal. It prints, shows me my splits. The fastest 2 miles of all 30 were with those two young guys. Now, what in the world does this have to do with your faith? Everything. Everything. Some of you right now, watching online in here, you're like how I felt at mile 20. You're like, I don't know if I can. I don't know if I can keep going. And you need some people around you like those young guys that fly by you and you're like, hold on a second. I just needed someone to spur me on. I needed to see someone who wasn't quitting, who wasn't coasting, who wasn't turning back. And guess what? Others of you, you're not coasting. You can actually be that for someone else that was like me yesterday. Guys, register for the growth track. Be around people, spur them on, or get spurred on. Bottom line, you ride better with others. You just do. You just do. So here's how we're going to finish up. We're going to finish up with a benediction. I put my heart and soul into these words, and I believe them to my core. Stand to your feet. If these fire you up, you can give me some feedback. But this is how you're being sent out of here. Here we go. Now go in the name of Jesus and power of the Holy Spirit to help people find and follow Christ. Go and be the church in your school and in your workplace. Go and be the church on every street and in every home, because wherever you are, that's where the church just showed up. Listen, we shine the brightest when it's the darkest. Did you hear me? We shine the brightest when it's the darkest. A scared world needs a fearless church, and we are that church. We don't shrink back. We engage. We don't retreat in fear. We advance in faith. The time is now. The moment is here. The kingdom has come. Therefore, we must go to our city for His glory. I love you guys. We are missing. See you next